Hey, what's going on everyone? Dennis here, EDC for Fun. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're going to decide once and for all which one of these is the GOAT. I'm just kidding, guys. We are not going to decide which one is the best between the PM2 and the Manix 2 from Spyderco. What we are going to do is we're going to talk about some similarities as well as some differences between the two, because something that I get asked all the time is which one do I prefer? So sometimes that question is asked because somebody's looking to buy either one or the other, or maybe they already own one and they're interested in buying the other. And in either case, I just want to share some of what I picked up over the last several years of owning both of these, and not only owning both of these, but also owning, various versions of these. And right off the bat, one of the coolest things about both of these knives is that you can customize them pretty much however you want. You can get them in lots of different blade steels. You can get them in lots of different handle materials, and there's tons of aftermarket options for both of these knives. Everything from the hardware to the scales to the clips, and you can even make your own stuff if you wanted to. There's some guys out there that are doing that and doing a great job at it. Check out Patches and Gear. He does great work. He makes his own scales. He just did some Starry Night Damascus scales for his PM2. Looks awesome. Nathan's Knives, he's another one. There's a bunch of guys out there that are doing it. You can also find on different retailers just lots of different aftermarket options for both of these knives. So with that being said, we'll start looking at some of the similarities between these two. And right off the bat, you can see closed, they are about the same length. When they are closed, they are close to the same height when they are closed. The Manix 2 is a little bit taller, but in terms of the overall profile, in your pocket, they're very similar. The PM2 does fit a little bit better in your pocket, but neither one of these are small knives, so they are going to take up a little bit of real estate in your pocket. We'll go ahead and open these guys. They both use the same opening method, so the Spidey hole is the same size on both of these, and you can see that the overall length is just a little bit different. The PM2 is a little bit longer than the Manix 2, as well as the cutting edge on the PM2 is also a little bit longer. The Manix 2 does have a taller blade, so you do get a little more sliciness, in my opinion, with this one, because you've got this a little bit thinner blade stock that actually has more consistent thickness through the tip, versus this guy, which starts out actually a little thicker and then goes thinner. I find that the Manix 2 for me just seems to slice a little bit better than the PM2. Both are great slicers, but this one I think edges it out just a little bit. Part of that is, I think, with this gradual belly, you can just kind of glide through your cuts, versus the PM2 has a little bit more of an abrupt belly at the end. Just kind of put them side by side here. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see this one, the PM2 on the bottom there, starts out more flat, and then towards the end is really where that belly is, versus the Manix 2, where the belly really kind of starts back here and then just slowly works its way towards the tip there. So I find in use this one's a little more slicey, but like I said, both are absolutely phenomenal. In terms of the ergonomics of these guys, they're very similar. One thing to note, I always think this is important, is the inner grip. So what I'm talking about here is basically the highest point on the top of the handle to the highest point on the bottom of the handle. That is the inner grip, and they're actually virtually identical between these two. Now the difference is the PM2 has a more neutral shape, and the Manix 2 has obviously these grooves here for your fingers, which allow for indexing, as well as what I think is actually a more secure, firm grip. Some people don't like that. They don't like being told where their fingers should go. that's fine. It's a preference thing. If that's your preference, then the PM2 is the way to go. But with that being said, you can get a Manix 2 that has skinny scales, so that it removes these grooves and humps in the handle there, and it becomes a flat neutral profile. So if that's important to you and you like the Manix, it doesn't mean it's not an option. It absolutely is an option. Just takes a little bit of work to get it there. With that being said, basically the same size inner grip with a difference in neutral handle versus indexed handle. But you can see both of these guys have Spyderco's 50/50 choil, which I absolutely love because there is a real ricasso here. So you can actually get your fingers in there without putting them up against the cutting edge, which is critical. When you're going to town, you're really working on something, the last thing you want to do is slip and have your knife cut you open there, because there's nothing stopping you from going on the blade there. So obviously you can always hold it back here, and that is perfectly suited for that. Actually works really well for both of these guys. But if you do need to choke up, they are absolutely suited for that. And now that I have it in this position, one thing you can see is that they both have thumb ramps, but the thumb ramp on the PM2 is more steep. So you can definitely push into that a little bit harder than you can on the Manix 2, which is more shallow. And so you can still get a good purchase on both of these, but if you're looking to really push your thumb into the blade and really use it like that, the PM2 is going to give you a little bit of an edge. But both have very aggressive jimping, not so aggressive that it cuts you or anything, but whether you're using gloves or bare hand, you can absolutely get a very, very secure purchase on both of those, and you can really push in and get some hard cuts done. We'll go ahead and look at the hardware. Both of these have T10 pivots. They have T8s on the body screws, and they have T6s on the pocket clips. So that's the same for both of those. The next thing we'll talk about really is the biggest difference between these guys is going to be the locking mechanism. So you can see the PM2 has the compression lock, and that allows you to close the blade without your fingers in the blade path, which is awesome. But if you're left-handed, that is not as easy to actuate. What I typically do if I'm cutting left-handed, I will use it like a back lock and just press it like that, and then very carefully bring it in, because I'm not left-handed, so I'm not as secure with my left hand as I am with my right hand. So to show you that again, I'll just basically press it like this, and yes, my fingers are in the blade path, so I'll pull them out and then slowly bring that knife back in like that. You can get a CME, which stands for Compression Made Easy, from OCD for EDC. I'm not sure if anybody else makes them, but it's basically a button that you glue to this compression tab that allows you to use that a lot more easily if you're left-handed, or if you're right-handed, it also helps as well. But I find that right-handed, it is perfectly fine the way it is. Now, with the Manix 2, you get the ball cage lock, which is an ambidextrous lock. So by pulling down on these grooves here on the side, what it is, it's basically a cage. The stock cage, by the way, is polymer. This one is titanium. There is inside of there this one has a ceramic ball. The stock one is steel. Again, you can swap out so many parts for these things. And you can see there's a spring right there that as you pull this down, and what you'll see is when the blade rotates, that spring is going to push this whole ball cage assembly up into a channel in the blade there, and that locks it open. And because it is on both sides like that, it is ambidextrous. So again, I'm not really left-handed, so that looked a little bit awkward, but that's me, that's not the knife. So this, if it's important to you to have more of an ambidextrous lock, then really the Manix 2 is the way to go. And that's ultimately the biggest difference between these two, because like I said, the cutting performance, the edge geometry, the blade shape, the length, the materials, all that stuff is similar on both of these knives, and the biggest difference is going to be that locking mechanism. There's a little bit of a difference in construction, of course. The, Manix 2 has this backspacer here. There is no backspacer on the PM2, but you can get backspacers. So again, the options for both of these guys are pretty much limitless, and you can make them pretty much however you want. So if you're on the fence about these, you don't have either one, and you're not sure what you want to get, like I said, you can't go wrong with either one of them, but there are subtle differences that might steer you in one direction or the other. I'll tell you, when I was looking to buy my first one of either one of these, I did go with the Manix 2 first. I liked that it had a more ambidextrous lock, and I went with this one. Eventually I picked up one of these, and I'm very, very, very happy with both of them. They've served me well for a number of years, and with all the different options that you can get these in, it ultimately, to me, I don't think it really matters which one you get. They're both going to do the job just fine. You're going to be happy with either of them. They're both made by Spyderco, so you've got an awesome company. They're both made in America. They're both made extremely well, and yeah, they are absolutely good to go knives. And that's my take on the similarities and differences between the Spyderco PM2 and Spyderco Manix 2. So with that, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please leave me a like and a comment. Subscribe if you're not already. Have a fantastic day. God bless you. See ya.